So, you've built this awesome Next.js app. It looks great, it runs super fast, but wait a second. How do you make sure only the right people get into the right parts of it? How do you actually lock the doors? That question right there is the start of everything when it comes to security.
All right, let's get right into it. We're talking about Next.js authentication and specifically the secure foundation you absolutely need before you can build anything else. This is the bedrock.
So here's the game plan. We'll start with why this is even a challenge. Then we'll get into the building blocks. We're talking digital keycards with tokens, the server's memory with session management, and then trusted IDs with OAuth. And finally, we'll put it all together.
Okay, think about it. Every single app that has personal data, whether it's a simple to-do list or a massive online store, needs a bouncer at the door. It needs a way to ask, hey, who are you? And are you on the list? That whole process, that's authentication. It is your first line of defense.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. You want to know about the cool stuff, right? Like middleware protection, role-based access control, and yeah, that stuff is super important, but you can't build a strong house without a foundation. First, you need the keys to the kingdom, and that's exactly what we're gonna get.
All right, let's grab our first key, the token. The absolute best way to think about a token is like a digital hotel key card. You check in once, get your card, and then you can get into your room, the pool, whatever, and you don't have to pull out your driver's license every single time.
And that's the core idea right there. It's what we call a stateless process. The server doesn't need to remember you. After you log in, it just hands you this unique, encrypted string, the token. Your app hangs onto it and just flashes it every time it needs to prove it's you.
So the flow is actually pretty simple when you break it down. 1, you log in with your username and password. 2, the server checks you out, says you're good, and hands you that digital keycard. 3, your app tucks that token away somewhere safe. And 4, every time you want to see a protected page, your app just sends that token along. See? Simple, but really, really powerful.
Okay, so if tokens are like a keycard you carry around, what's session management? Well, let's go back to the hotel. A session is more like the front desk's logbook. It's the server itself actively keeping a record of who's checked in and what they're doing.
The key phrase here is continuous state. Think about an online shopping cart. You add a few things, you click over to another page to keep browsing, and the items are still in your cart, right? That's session management. It's literally the server's memory of your ongoing visit.
So let's put these two head to head. What's the real difference? It all boils down to one thing: state. Tokens are stateless. All the proof is right there in the token, so the server doesn't have to remember anything. This is awesome for scaling up. Sessions are stateful. The server has to keep that logbook of everyone who's active. Which one you choose is a massive architectural decision.
Which brings us to our third and final key, OAuth. Look, why go through the headache of building a whole new login system from scratch? What if you could just let a trusted service, like Google or GitHub, vouch for your user? That's OAuth. It's the difference between showing a custom-made ID and just showing your passport.
Pay close attention to that phrase, delegated authorization. This is so critical. When you click Sign in with Google, you are not giving that app your Google password. No way. You're just telling Google, hey, I trust this app. Can you give it a temporary pass that says I'm legit? You are delegating the act of trusting. And to get how this works, you just need to know the cast of characters. There's you, the user. You're the resource owner. There's your Next.js app. That's the client. Then there's the big player like Google. That's the authorization server. And finally, the API where the actual data is stored is the resource server. It's a carefully choreographed dance between these 4 to keep things secure. Phew, okay. We've gone through tokens, sessions, and OAuth. We've covered a lot of ground. So now, let's put it all together and see why this stuff is the absolute foundation for protecting your app. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? You cannot skip this. Trying to build advanced security features without understanding these fundamentals is like trying to build a skyscraper on a patch of sand. It's just not going to work. So if your big goal is to lock down the routes in your Next.js app, here's your checklist. This is where you start. You have to get comfortable with how tokens work. You need to understand the pros and cons of sessions, and you've got to know how to use OAuth. Check these 3 boxes, and you're ready to build something truly secure. And that's really the main takeaway from all of this. Locking down your app isn't about finding some magic NPM package you can install. It's not a tool, it's a strategy.
And a strong strategy is always built on the solid foundations we've been talking about today.
So once you really get these core principles, you're not just copying and pasting from tutorials anymore. You're making smart, informed decisions. You're an architect. You have the keys to the kingdom. So the only question left is, what are you going to build?